helpful, and how should we proactively be designing our web application to make sure that it's secure. But today, we begin our conversation with HTML and CSS, two of the languages that are foundational to understanding web pages and how web browsers are able to display those web pages. And we'll start with HTML, or Hypertext Markup Language, which is a language that we can use to describe the structure of the web page, all of the buttons and the text and the forms and other parts of the web page that the user ultimately sees and interacts with. Our very first HTML page is going to look a little something like this. It's going to be text-based code that we write that a web browser, like Safari or Chrome or Firefox, is then able to look at, parse, understand, and display to the user. So let's take a look at this page one line at a time and get an understanding for how it works. Even if you don't quite understand all the nuances of the syntax, there are probably a couple of things that stand out to you. You might notice the word title, which probably reflects the title of the web page, for example, which in this case appears to be the word hello. And then down further below, we see that we have the body of the web page that seems to contain the words hello world. So what is this web page actually going to look like? Well, let's take a look at it. We'll go ahead and open up a text editor. You can use any text editor you want, but for this course, I'm going to use Microsoft's Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to open up a new file that I'm just going to call hello.html. Inside of hello.html, I'm going to write the same HTML that we just saw a moment ago. And we'll explain each of these lines in due time. But recall that we had a title of the page that said something like hello, and then a body of the page where we said something like hello world, for example. So this is our very first HTML page. And if I go ahead and open that HTML page, as by opening hello.html, for example, inside of a web browser, what I'll see is something like this. In the body of the page, I see the words hello world. And if you notice up here at the top of my web browser, I see the title bar, where I have the title for this page, which in this case is just the word hello. So this is our very first web program that we've been able to develop just using HTML. And now let's explore in more detail how exactly this program works. So here again was the web page that we were just looking at. And this very first line here, doctype HTML, is what we might call a doctype declaration. It's a way of telling the web browser what version of HTML we're using in this particular web page. Because depending on the version of HTML, the web browser might want to display different information, or it might need to parse the page a little bit differently. Each version of HTML has had a slightly different way of indicating that version. But this line here, doctype HTML, is our way of saying that this HTML page is written using HTML5, the latest version of HTML. After that, our HTML page is structured as a series of nested HTML elements, where an HTML element describes something on the page, and we might have elements that are inside of other elements. Each of those elements is indicated by what we're going to call an HTML tag, enclosed using those angled brackets. And right here, we'll see the beginning of the HTML tag, which means that this is the beginning of the HTML content of our page. Down below, this /HTML means that this is the end of the HTML content of the page. And in between is the actual HTML content of the page, which might include other HTML elements. You might also notice that in this HTML tag, we've specified what we're going to call an HTML attribute, some additional information that we're giving about this tag. In particular, we're giving it a lang, or language attribute, which is equal to EN, or English. This just tells the web browser, or anyone looking at the HTML of this page, that this page is written in a language, and the language it's written in is English. And this is helpful for search engines, for example. When they're looking through many different web pages, trying to figure out what language each web page is in, we can just tell the search engine or anyone else who's looking at the page that this page is written in English. Now, inside of the HTML body of the page, we have a number of different elements that are going to describe what we want on this page. Starting with the head section of the web page, which describes stuff not in the main body of the web page, the part of the web page the user sees, but other information about the web page that's going to be helpful or useful for web browsers to know about. For example, one important thing that the web browser needs to know is what is the title of the web page. And here we see a title tag, again indicated by the word title in those angled brackets, followed by the end of the title tag, indicated by a slash before the title. And in between the two title tags is the word hello, which means the title of this page should be the word hello. And that's all the information we'll have in the head of the page. We'll add more information there later, but for now, all the web page needs to know is that it has a title, and the title is the word hello. Next up comes the body of the page, again indicated by a body tag, and that ends with a tag with /body, meaning this is the end of the body of the page. And the body of the page, again, is just the visible part of the page that the user can see. And what do we want inside the body of the page? For now, we just want the text hello world. And that's the information that's going to be displayed when someone visits this web page. And so that's all there really is to this HTML page. We specified in the header that there's a title of the page called hello, and inside the body, we're saying the page should say the words hello world. And if you want to visually think about the way that all these HTML elements are structured, it can sometimes be helpful to think about an HTML page in terms of a tree-like structure that we call the document object model, or DOM. And so here, for example, is what the DOM for this web page might actually look like. Here on the left is the HTML content that we just saw a moment ago. And over here on the right is the DOM, the document object model, the tree-like structure that describes how all of these HTML elements are related to each other. So we start up here with the HTML element, and this parent element, so to speak, has two child elements within it, a head element and a body element. As we can see here, where inside of HTML, we have a head section and a body section. And the indentation here that we're including in the HTML text, it's not strictly necessary. The web browser doesn't care what the indentation is, but it can be helpful for someone who's reading the page just to see the indentation, to understand visually that the head is inside of the HTML element and the body is inside of the HTML element too. So inside of the head element, we have a title element. And inside of the title element is just the text, the word hello. And likewise, inside of the body element, we also have some text, the text hello world. So thinking about HTML and HTML documents in terms of this structure can be helpful for understanding which HTML elements are inside of which other HTML elements. And that's going to make it easier for us to reason about these pages later on. And especially as we later transition into the world of JavaScript, JavaScript is going to make it all the more powerful and give us the ability to actually modify parts of this DOM as well. But we'll certainly get to that in due time. So now let's take a look at some of the other common HTML tags and HTML elements that we might be interacting with in our web page. And we'll start by thinking about HTML headings. So big banners at the top of a page, for example, some headline that describes what a page is about. So I'll go ahead into my text editor and create a new file that I'll call headings.html. And the structure of this page is going to be pretty similar to the pages that we've seen before already. So I'm going to start by just using the hello.html text and paste it in here. I'll change the title of the page. Instead of hello, we'll go ahead and call it headings. But inside the body of this page now, I want something a little bit different. I'm going to, inside the body of the page, use an h1 element and say this is a heading, for example. So h1 is a tag that I can use to create a large heading at the top of my page, like for the title of a page, for example. So if I open up headings.html, I might see something that looks like this, a big heading at the top of my page that says this is a heading. H1, where the H stands for heading, and the 1 stands for the largest possible heading. And in fact, HTML gives us a number of different tags that we can use in order to create headings of various sizes. So for example, I could also say h2, inside of which I say this is a smaller heading. If h1 is the largest heading, h2 is the second largest heading. So if I load this page, for example, I now see the h1 at the very top. This is the big heading. And then beneath that, I see this is a smaller heading, the h2. And it turns out there's also h3, h4, h5, all the way down to h6, which is the smallest heading, such that if I load this page now, I have a big heading, a smaller one, and then here's the smallest. So we can often use these h1, h2, h3 tags just for visually organizing text inside of a page. If I want the title of the page, but also I want titles for each of the various different sections and subsections that might be contained within that page as well. So those are headings. And now let's also take a look at some other elements that we might want to add. On web pages, we see not just titles and not just text, but we might also see lists, for example. Like if you've ever used a to-do list program on a web page, for example, you might see a list of things that you need to do. Or other web pages might display lists of information. And it turns out that HTML has two basic types of lists. We have ordered lists for things that are in a particular order, like item number 1, item number 2, item number 3. And we have unordered lists for lists that don't have any particular order, so just bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, for example. And both are quite easy to use. I'll go ahead and create a new file, and we'll call this lists.html. And again, in lists.html, I'll copy the same structure from hello.html. We're again going to have doctype HTML just to indicate the version of HTML. Most of the heading is the same. I'm just going to change the title from hello to lists. And then we're going to replace the body of this page to show some different information here. So let me first show what an ordered list might look like, something that has numbers, 1, 2, 3. And ordered list as an HTML tag is just OL, OL for ordered list. So I can add a tag that says OL. And now inside of my OL element, my ordered list element, I need a new element for every list item. List item, we're going to abbreviate to just li. So the li tag in HTML is what we're going to use to designate an item inside of an HTML list. So here, for example, I could say li and then first item. And then I could do the same thing. Li second item, and then again li third item. So what I have here are some elements, and then elements nested within other elements. I have an ordered list element, inside of which are 3 other HTML elements. 3 list items that are each indicating each of the individual items that are inside of my HTML list. I can now open this up by opening lists.html, and this is what I see. I see an ordered list where I have item number 1, first item, second item, third item. Note that I didn't actually need to, in the HTML anywhere, specify the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3. When my web browser reads that this should be an ordered list, my web browser, Chrome in this case, just adds those numbers in for me because it knows what an ordered list means, and it knows how to take the HTML that I've written and display it in the way that I intend to the user. Now, in addition to ordered lists that all have numbers, 1, 2, 3, we also have unordered lists that are just bullet points of information. So I could, up above, add some more content to this HTML page.
Holy shit. Sup bro, welcome to the stream. What's up? Nice. That's lit, bro. I'm fine too, I'm just vibing. Interesting. Holy shit. Awesome, yeah. Yes. Nah, I'm just waiting for Zaya. I want to put Zaya on the comp. But I don't get it. It's crazy how people still spamming Duelist and Divine. It's just so fucking cringe. This is so fucking cringe. It's just so cringe. Interesting. We're having a cannon that's lit. It looks good at the moment, but I'm not sure how long. We just need a 6 keeper buff. Really decent. I'm needing a 6 keeper buff, so I need a chosen one or I need a Zaya on level 2. This would be great as well, but I'm not really sure if I can get her. If I don't get my Zaya, we lose the late for sure. Yeah, Shyvana's way too strong. Well, that's great as well. Now we have 6 keeper. That's just lit. That's really, really sick. There's another Zaya. Okay, that's actually really sick. We're at the 6 keeper now. Yeah, but in this comp, Cannon and Xayahs are the main carries. Otherwise, yeah, Morados is on Rakan good, by the way, too. Nope, you cannot win this, that's so hard. We go YOLO. Okay. That's great. That was so fucking close. Yeah, I like the old Xayah comp. Where she was Shredder Xayah, that was really sick. Why is this so loud? Yeah, we go next anyways. It's a succubus, not a succubus, idiot. Let me play one Katarina ranked game. Let's see. I don't know. This bullshit game. Yes, bro, will have.
But things weren't that clear-cut on my team, and for my first task, I found myself having to dive into Python code. The problem was I had never formally learned Python, and I found myself having to use it a lot to do my job. No problem. I thought learning on the job is the best way to learn, and I do firmly believe that. That being said, I had to struggle to figure out basic things, a few of which would have made my life so much easier in those early days of using Python. So here's 5 tips and tricks you can start using right away to improve your Python experience. Shell. Let's say I have a Python file with a function that adds 2 numbers. Now, conventionally, I might call this function at the bottom of my file, and then run the file with the Python keyword. Well, there's another way I can run this function, and that is with the interactive shell. So instead of python main.py, I add the -i flag for interactive. Now I can call this function in a shell like this. This can be really useful for developing things like bots. If you've seen my Tinderbot video, we control our web scraper through this interface. So this will load your Python file, but then instead of closing after running the code, we'll give you access to all the functions and variables inside. So again, this is a great way to do development, testing, and it can make you feel like a god when you have the interactive shell at your disposal, issuing commands at will. Tip number 2 is PDB, the Python debugger. While python-i will run your entire file and then give you an interface into that environment, PDB can stop your file before
What's up, bro? Welcome
so you can debug. I'll give you an example.
to my stream.
And then I'm adding 1 and some character that shouldn't be there. I will get an error when I try to run this file. But let's say this file is huge and I don't know where the error is occurring. In that case, I can import PDB, the Python debugger that's built into Python, and then call the setTrace method to pause the execution of my code. Now I'll get this weird kind of interface that says PDB, where I can do different things like print the current values of variables and functions, or I can go to the next line with N for next. So again, this can help me identify
No roads
where
English.
my code is breaking, and I can
Why
even
the fuck they are leaving? No English, bro.
File, and then you can just delete this when you're done. Number 3, the virtual environment. A big part of the reason Python is so dominant is because of how many good libraries it has. In fact, Python has so many good math, statistics, data analysis libraries that it will probably be around for quite a long time. That being said, dependency management can be a bit annoying. In other words, how do you confine the libraries you need to a specific project, making it shareable and portable? One of the ways we accomplish this is through virtual environments. The most used one is called virtual env, and you can install it with pip install virtual env. Once you do that, you can create a new environment that's virtual env, followed by the name of the folder your environment's in, and then you can install the dependencies you need for the project. So you do this by activating the virtual environment by sourcing vn bin activate. Now you'll see this little prefix in my terminal prompt, meaning it is active. Now I can install any dependencies in isolation. So let's say I wanted to develop a bot. I can pip install Selenium, a dependency that I might need, and it will just be in this vn folder. Anyway, don't want to get too deep into dependencies, but just know that generally working in a virtual environment is the best practice when you're using Python. Number 4, list and dict comprehension. Let's say I have some data, a list of fruits with prices and names represented as a dict. It's a pretty common use case to want to pull out a single property from an object. But to do that in conventional syntax, we have to do something like this. So it does work, but it also takes 4 lines and a lot of typing just to get this done. So there is actually a way to do this with 1 line, and that's with list comprehension. This has kind of weird syntax that only occurs in Python, but when you get used to it,
The third dodge, are you fucking kidding me?
like I was, then it can really come in handy. So So within these brackets, I'll type a loop-like syntax.
Welcome to the Joma Show. Today we have a special guest. We have my ex-girlfriend joining us today. So why don't you introduce yourself? Yeah, so in case you didn't understand the joke, what I was saying is that I don't have an ex-girlfriend because I never had a girlfriend, which is kind of true. I mean, I wouldn't consider the ones I had in middle school and high school real relationships because it wasn't really driven by love or anything. It was primarily driven by horniness and nothing else. And then in college, it was really hard for me to be in a relationship. And the reason why was because I went to University of Waterloo. Now, it's not because there aren't any girls there. It's because we move every 4 months. So 4 months I would be in school and then 4 months I would be working. So if you meet a girl and you hit it off, you know, it's real nice. And then 3 months later, you have to move out. And it's not worth being in a long distance relationship when you only met each other for like 4 months. So I think that's the primary reason why I was never in a relationship. And also because I'm a fucking slut. By the way, new videos every Thursday. I finally chose a schedule. I am going to post on Thursdays from now on at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I even made a cover photo for it, so it's pretty dope. It's pretty official. And yeah, and also another thing, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at JomoPub because from now on I'm going to live stream on Instagram. And the reason why I chose Instagram is because YouTube is getting too big for me and I can't have like a proper conversation with you guys. So I chose Instagram to make it smaller so that at least I can have more of a conversation or I can answer all the questions. Alright, so today I am going to bring you guys to the office, which is actually pretty cool because I finally got the approval to film at the office. The only thing is that
Oh, bro, just suck my fucking dick.
or that HR said I can't film. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. Alright, let's go. This is the gym. This is our bathroom. And this is my desk. And this is Sunmi.
The fuck?